Here's the honest truth. Success is not about the age or stage of your equine business. It's about knowing where you want to go and using that vision of success as your filter for every decision along the way. Because when you have a clear vision and a system for measuring your personal version of success, then you can make confident, strategic decisions for your equine business. And that's what we do inside of Take the Reins, my one-on-one coaching program. It's a personalized one-on-one business coaching program for equestrian entrepreneurs ready to ditch the marketing overwhelm, overcome the roadblocks holding you back, and grow an equine business that meets your version of success. Friends, you know this about me. I am not here to promise you millions of followers or viral moments because that's for influencers. But if you want to connect with the right people and build a business that works for you, then I'm your coach. I have 8 slots available right now, and once they fill, I will not be opening slots again until 2026. So I invite you to head to stormlily.com/reins, get all the information, apply today, and let's work together to build your dream equine business. Hello there, and welcome to the How to Market Your Horse Business podcast. I'm so glad you're joining me here today. As you've likely guessed by now, my name is Denise Alvarez. I get to host you here on the podcast. And before we dive into the meat of today's episode, the hard but good work we're going to do as equestrian business owners, I want to first quickly introduce myself, just in case we're new friends. Then we will dive right in. Now, as I said, my name is Denise, and through my business, Storm Lily Marketing, I get to help dream-chasing horse business owners to ditch the overwhelm, get the clarity they've been craving, and grow their business in a way that meets their definition of success. Now, I do this primarily through business and marketing coaching, and then through education, such as this podcast, and I have some online learning resources for you as well. All that I do is so that you, as an equestrian entrepreneur, can be out in the barn or the arena doing what it is that you love to do, however it is you serve the equestrian community. And so that's why here on this podcast, you will get a mix of step-by-step strategies, essential how-tos, and entrepreneurial mindset shifts that will help you not only see what's possible for your business, but I'm also here to guide you through that process so you can make it happen. Now, as I said, today we are doing some good and hard work because I know this about you. Regardless of the age or stage of your business, you're here because you want to grow your business. Some of you are on the building end, some of you are in the messy middle, some of you have been doing it for a while, but you have new ideas. And so you're here to learn how you can market your business well. And part of that includes some of this good hard work. Because for some of you, it's possible that you've been relying on word of mouth and referrals for a while, but you're realizing it's not quite as sustainable as you'd hoped. Some of you are launching new programs, products, services, or maybe a new arm of your business, and the launch maybe isn't quite going how you'd planned. The season that you're in is feeling a bit stuck. It's like you're in a holding pattern, right? And growth, the real growth that you're craving, it feels a bit elusive. I know that's true for some of you. And I want to address that here for you today in a new way that we've not done yet on this podcast. Now, of course, before we dive into that, I want to make sure that the service or the product or whatever it is that you are offering is as valuable as possible. It's quality, right? You're here because you value quality. And so I have an episode that I'm going to point you to that I want to encourage you to listen to after today. It's episode 171, and we talked about how to make your equestrian offer irresistible, 4 ways to increase value and attract more buyers. That one is fully packed, friends. It's a checklist of things I want you to review in light of your offer, your service, whatever it is that you're selling. So I'm going to link to that in today's show notes. So if you go to stormlily.com/184 for episode 184, I'll have a link there to that episode. So that's the practical, tangible things having to do with your product and your service, right? Those things matter. But today I want us to talk about something that we don't spend enough time talking about. And as I said, it's something that I've not really addressed a lot on the podcast, but it's definitely something I've been working on personally and have been working on even more recently with my coaching clients. Because when we're looking at the business as a whole, we often look outside. We look at why our marketing isn't working by evaluating the price, the audience, the reach, the message, the method. And those things 100% matter, which is why a part of this podcast is addressing those practical strategic tools. They are necessary. But today, we're going to make a bit of an unexpected shift and look inward. Okay, don't turn this off yet. Okay, for those of you who are going, I wasn't here for that. I want you to hear me out. Okay, because I want to challenge you as an equestrian entrepreneur who is growth minded. You have big ideas and dreams and visions that you are working towards. I want you to stop and consider your inner dialogue. Yes, we're talking about your self-talk, but this isn't just the quote unquote basic self-talk. We're going beyond the basics, okay? For today's episode, I want you to think about a specific type of self-talk that I hear equestrian entrepreneurs engaging in that is holding you back and keeping you stuck, okay? And it's the story that you are telling yourself about what's going on in your business. So it's not just how you talk to yourself, it's deeper than that. It's the things that you're telling yourself that you really are believing about your launch, about your business, about your leadership, about your abilities, about your identity, and what that means in terms of how you're presenting yourself in your business. Here's what you cannot escape. As the business owner, as an equestrian entrepreneur, you are a key part of the sales process. When I think about the clients that I've worked with over the past 5 to 6 years since starting my business and serving the equine industry, we start out focused on the tangibles. I've done websites. I had a membership focused on social media for a while, and we have offerings. I do the coaching things, and I've done copywriting. I've done launch plans. I've done a lot of the tangibles for equine businesses as well. And those things are super important. And I do believe getting that strategic plan in place, getting that website that presents yourself as professional and connects you to the right people and converts them into customers, those things 100% matter. But when I look back over the past 5 and 6 years at who I've worked with and what their businesses look like now, I've been noticing a difference. There are definitely people that I've worked with who have gone on and continued to build their business and grow their business, made it more sustainable, continued to be successful. And then there are people that have stayed stuck, or honestly, they closed up their business altogether. And the difference that I thought I was seeing at first was people who were willing to dig in, do the work, implement the plan that we'd created, right? But what I'm realizing more and more is that there is more happening on a deeper level for them and for you. It's so much more than just being willing to dig in and do the work, right? The people who struggled to implement also have struggled to believe that what they were working towards was possible, to believe that they could figure out the tech or find someone who would, to believe that their long-term goals and the vision they had that they were working toward were worth the hard days and the headaches, because those are inevitable, aren't they? They've struggled to believe that they were enough as a business owner or photographer or whatever it was that they were doing, whether they made a certain amount of money or not. Now, of course, for each of these business owners, there are real life scenarios and situations that come into play here. I get that 100%. There are things that happen in life that throw us for a loop and change our plans. But at the same time, at the end of the day, every business owner is going to encounter some difficulties in and out of the business, right? Personal and professional situations they have to deal with. And the difference really does come down to our beliefs and our thoughts, because it impacts our actions. I don't know if you've heard this. I'm going to call it a formula, for lack of a better word. Essentially, it's the flow of how we do things, right? Whether it's in business or not. It starts with a belief, which leads to a thought, which leads to an action. The actions that you take as an equestrian entrepreneur, if you work backwards from those, it's because of a thought you had, and those thoughts are because of a belief that you have or had. And I get it, you guys. I'm not telling you this from a place of, I've got it all figured out. Okay. That is not where I'm coming to you from. Where I'm coming to you from is I've been working on this. And the more I work on this, the more I see it, right? The more my eyes are opened. And therefore, I'm able to help more people because I'm able to see it and walk them through the steps I'm going to share with you today. So we're going to talk about the practical ways that we address this. Okay. So I'm learning it personally as well. For me, 100%, it comes down to a fear of failure. It has shaped so much of my decisions and thought processes over the year, and I'm just now realizing it more and more this year, to be honest with you. And what I'm learning is because of what I believed that failure is, then it would impact everything else that I did in my business and as a person, as a mom, as a spouse, all of those things, and what it would mean about myself. And because of that belief, then I had thought patterns that were unhealthy, which led to unhealthy actions, right? It all is connected. But here's what I know. If I let myself stay there in those limiting beliefs and those faulty thought patterns, then I'm stunting the growth of my own business. And as a coach, that also means I'm stunting the growth of the businesses I could serve. And so I personally am continuing to dig in and do the work to unravel those lies and limiting beliefs. I honestly don't know that I've met anybody who's 100% there because we are constantly learning and evolving and learning new things about ourselves. But I can tell you this, as an equestrian business owner, I'm here to help you in your business succeed, right? So today, that's why we're talking about this. Because this focus today is a mix of the beliefs and the thoughts that are so intertwined and they're holding you back. And that is why this episode was titled, If You Keep Saying This, No Wonder You're Stuck. Because there are things that you're saying in your mind you may not even be saying out loud. And it's not things you're saying in your marketing and your messaging. It's things you're saying to yourself about your story, about your business, about yourself, right? And it's keeping you from growth. Now, remember, when I say growth, okay, I know that growth and success can sometimes be vague terms when it comes to businesses and when it comes to coaching. And so I want to be very clear with you. As a business owner, profit matters. It has to. It's not wrong to want and need to make a profit. I want you to have a profitable business. And at the end of the day, when I say growth and success, it's subjective to what that means for you. Beyond making a profit, which I want for you, there may be some things that you have in your mind that success means for you. I'm sure there are. It may be dollars. It may be number of people on your list. It may be number of people in your store. It may be the number of followers because you know that gives you a better reach to reach more of the right people. It may be someone that you've wanted to work with that you've told yourself wasn't possible, but that's your bucket list client. Whatever the case may be, you have an idea of what you're growing and moving towards, and your thoughts are what's keeping you stuck. Now, what do I mean by if you keep saying this, right? I put that in the title on purpose because there are things that you've been telling yourself that are limiting you from meeting your personal and professional potential. They're holding you back. You may have heard them called limiting beliefs. I said that earlier. I use that line often. They may be called mental blocks or restrictive thinking. Mental monsters is one I came up with the other day that I'm kind of using because it eats away, right? Monsters eat away at things. It's a mental monster that's eating away and holding us back. And so I want to address that. I want to show you some things that we can do to address that and why it matters. Okay. Now here's how this might play out for you. If you're going, Denise, okay, I hear you. But what do you really mean? What are the things that you think I'm saying that are holding me back? Because I'm not seeing that. So let me just tell you some of these statements that have been said to me in coaching calls and some that I have just heard on the outskirts as I'm having conversations with people. Things like, I'm just not good at marketing. I'll never be good at marketing. It's not my thing. Social media is such a waste of my time. I'll never be able to charge more than this. I have a horse business. What was I thinking that I could make money? It's the horse industry. Oh, it must be nice for her, but that could never work in my business. Email marketing is only for big businesses. Small businesses like me don't have time to figure it out. Do any of those sound familiar? Or a maybe variation, right, is something that you have said. Now, as I told you, beliefs and thoughts are so interconnected. Even if you've been thinking these things, you may not be saying them out loud to people, but as you're on your phone making a post, you're like, oh my gosh, social media is such a waste of my time. Well, then, of course, right, it makes sense that therefore you're not going to find much success on social media if that's how you see it, right? You're not going to connect with the right people if that's how you view it. Now, granted, I'm not saying you have to become a social media maven. I'm just saying, is it possible that you're feeling stuck when it comes to social media because of the way you view social media, because of what you believe about social media? That's what I want you to see, is this belief, thought, action pattern that is happening. If you think you're no good at marketing, for example, how many of you are going to continue to listen to this podcast and then try but give up pretty quickly because you're like, I just can't do this. I'm not good at marketing. Or you're going to burn out. Or maybe you think that something looks enviable and you want to try it because someone else is doing it, but you're like, this will never work in my business. It's not even possible. Well, then, of course, you're not going to think of creative ways to make it happen, right? You're not going to explore what if type of questions because you're just stuck thinking it's not possible. What I want you to see, friends, is that the things you are saying to yourself, the story you are telling yourself, could quite literally be keeping you in this holding pattern and keeping you stuck. The phrases that you're thinking in your head are becoming self-fulfilling roadblocks. But here's the good news, and truly, I mean this. It's actually possible to shift your results by simply changing the way you describe your challenges. So notice I am not telling you that your challenges don't exist. I'm not saying that it's not hard and that we should just ignore the hard things. What I'm saying is, can we transform the way that we say it, the way we believe about it, which will then open up new avenues of creativity, will then open up the opportunity for you to see what's possible and to take action and be willing to get in and do that hard work because you believe that it's possible. So I'm going to give you 3 steps, okay, that are going to help you to transform this thought pattern, these limiting beliefs that are holding you back. Now, I am borrowing these 3 steps. I did not come up with these 3 R's. So it is 3 R's. It's an alliteration. For those of you who don't know, I actually used to work for Jennifer Rothschild, who is an author and Bible study teacher. And I actually helped launch her podcast, which is what taught me how to launch this podcast years ago. And I also helped with her marketing, her launches, and things like that. And so Jennifer has a book that is called Me, Myself, and Lies. And it is all about self-talk and the lies that we tell ourselves. And inside of that, she has 3 R's that she shares. And so I want to share these 3 R's with you that are going to help us transform the way that we are talking about our businesses and our identity as it comes to a business owner. Okay? Now, again, I'll have these on the show notes for you, but again, it's 3 R's. So I'm hoping you can just grab onto these as I say it. Okay? Step number 1 is to recognize. We're partway there because you're listening to this episode. So you're recognizing right now there may be some things that you're thinking that are holding you back. This recognize step, I want to encourage you. It requires self-awareness and the desire to grow. If you are not willing to be self-aware, if you don't want to personally grow, then unfortunately, you're going to be stuck even before you get to this step. Okay, so recognizing requires a willingness to say, hey, I actually do want to grow and evolve as a person and as a business owner because I know those are so interconnected. And so when we do that, then it's easier to realize as we're thinking, oh, you know what? I think that that's possible that that's not true, right? That's possible that that's not true. That's what I want you to just think about. So we have to be intentional to recognize how we're talking to ourselves, the things that we are saying. What do we have on repeat when things get hard? Somebody told this to me, and I wish I could remember exactly who came up with it, but I don't. I've heard it a few different times. but it's being curious instead of furious. So when something is really frustrating to you, instead of going straight to the limiting beliefs that hold you back, what if instead you could be curious? Okay, this feels frustrating right now, but instead of falling into that, I'm going to be curious. Okay, so you recognize the frustration, you recognize what you typically do, and then you choose to be curious. I want you to be paying attention too to recognizing faulty assumptions. Sometimes the things that we are saying, the stories that we tell ourselves, we believe it as if it's a fact. But then when you tell it to someone else, I bet you they might say, well, is it possible this? And in that case, that's your opportunity to recognize that you might be holding on to a limiting belief, okay? So instead of, what does this mean about me, okay? I can't do social media. I'll never get this. I'm too old. I'm not young enough. This is, whatever the case may be, right? Instead of what does this mean about me, could you just think, what does this mean? And remove your identity from that equation. Instead of assuming it means that you will never figure this out, that you are no good at tech, that you, right? All the things it says about you. What if it's just, what does this mean? Well, this means that I'm spending a lot of time doing this and it's not how I enjoy spending my time. So maybe I can find an intern that wants to spend a few hours a week creating this content for me, right? Or what does this mean? It means that this doesn't bring me joy. That doesn't mean I suck, right? Honestly, like some of you are going, just telling yourselves like, man, I really suck at this. Well, it may not mean that you suck at that. It may mean something else, okay? So allow it to mean something else. Evaluate those faulty assumptions. All of that is part of this first R, which is recognize. Okay, so we're going to recognize those limiting beliefs. Then the second R is refuse. Okay, so you recognize it and then you refuse to let it in. Just because you recognize that you've had this thought, this limiting belief, it does not automatically mean that you have failed. Maybe that word's just for me, but I have a feeling that some of you struggle with that as well, right? You're like, okay, I'm going to fix this. And then you have that thought and you're like, oh man, I messed up. That does not mean you failed. You're winning because you recognize it. And now you have a choice, right? So now that you recognize it, you get to make a conscious choice to refuse to let that limiting belief continue to live in your mind any longer. Okay? Shut the gate, keep it out. Now that you've refused at entry, you get to replace. Okay? So first we recognize, then we refuse, then we replace. You could also look at this as reframe. Okay? What I want you to consider is, what could you say instead that might still acknowledge the truth of what's hard in the moment without holding on to the limiting belief? Let me give you some examples about this, okay? Rather than saying, I'm terrible at social media, you could say, I'm learning how to use social media to connect with my best fit clients. Okay? Instead of, I hate selling, which I know some of you have said, what if you transform that to, selling does not come easy, but I do love connecting people to solutions that help them. And I can do that. I can do relationships, right? Maybe it's, I'm not a marketer. Maybe you have said that before. And maybe you could transform that instead to, marketing isn't my natural bent, but I am learning and I will figure this out because this business matters to me. I hope you can see some of those differences, because you don't need to become an expert at everything and you don't need to ignore that things are hard, right? It's 100% okay to outsource things, just like I mentioned earlier. Figure out what drains you and find the solution. But be careful in that process to first evaluate what it is that you're believing about yourself because something is not easy and you feel stuck. All right? Now, again, you might be hearing this and saying, okay, Denise, 3 R's. It sounds pretty simple. Is it really that profound? But sometimes the most simple framework can actually be the most powerful. Honestly, the science behind this type of brain work, they call neuroplasticity, and it is amazing. It's actually quite new in terms of when you look at like psychology, sociology, science, and all of that, like the studies that they've been doing and what they've learned about neuroplasticity is quite new. And it's amazing because we can actually rewire our brains and the belief systems that are holding us back by following this process. If you're someone who loves science and you want to dive deeper into that, I have another recommendation for you, and I'll put it in the show notes. It's a book called Mind Your Mindset: The Science That Shows Success Starts With Your Thinking. It's really good. It, again, follows this similar framework, but just dives a little bit deeper to the science of it. But here's what I want you to know, okay? If you've been feeling stuck, all right, you're saying, Denise, I've got this. I know what I have to offer is valuable. I hear so many of you saying, like, I know what I'm doing matters. I know if I could get people in the door, then it will help them. But then you're still feeling that stuck and you can't seem to move forward to where you want to go. I encourage you to really consider the way you're talking to yourself and talking about yourself and about your business and about your marketing to yourself. So where do we go from here? All right, I'm going to give you a simple step, okay? I've given you 3, right? Recognize, refuse, replace. Here's where I want you to start. Start with awareness, okay? Just start with awareness. Start becoming, in the next 48 hours, aware of the things that you're saying to yourself about what's hard in your equestrian business. I want you to catch yourself when you say, I can't, I'm bad at, all those types of sentences. It's not possible. And then reframe it in a way that opens the door to possibility. Now, if this has been helpful to you, and if you know of someone who you're thinking, I need to send this to a friend, then please do. Take a screenshot, tag me on social media, send this to your friends. Let those in the equestrian business community know this podcast is here to help them as well, because that's 100% my heart. And if you're ready to dive deeper into overcoming these mental roadblocks that are holding you back and address the marketing piece at the same time, put together a strategic plan for your marketing that makes you feel clear and confident about what you can do, then take the reins. My one-on-one 6-month coaching program is for you, friends. If you're growing a horse business, I want you to do it in a way that meets your version of success, right? And it's going to take more than just the latest social media trend in order to make that happen. It truly takes clarity on where you're headed, the confidence you need to share your message, and a plan that you can actually stick to. And it also takes someone in your corner, holding you accountable, guiding you, encouraging you, and helping you stay focused on what matters most. You do not have to do it all alone, friends. That's why I have Take the Reins. It is a personalized one-on-one business coaching program for equestrian entrepreneurs ready to ditch the marketing overwhelm, overcome the roadblocks holding you back, and grow an equine business that meets your version of success. Applications are currently open, and I would love for you to check it out and apply. I have 8 slots available for this new session that starts in September as of the time of this recording. Once they fill, openings won't come available again until 2026. So if you're thinking, I'm ready to get my game in gear, I'm ready to get myself in gear, get my game in place for my marketing strategy, then I invite you to check it out. You can go to stormlily.com/reins to learn more about the program and apply today. And of course, I will have that link in the show notes for you as well. Guys, I'm so grateful that you are here. I am so grateful that you made it to the end, because I know that means you are in it to win it. And so I appreciate you joining me here. I hope you will continue to. We're going to continue to dive into some of this mindset work over the next few months as well, because the practical matters, and so does this intangible, is what I would call it, work that comes as a business owner. And we're going to do it together. So I appreciate you joining me here. Share it with a friend and continue to join me here on the podcast. I'll see you again next week. Have an amazing day.